Hey guys, Major Dodo here with another Kingdom Death Assembly Guide, and today we will be doing part 8 of our Pinups of Death 1 series, the Pinup Forsaker. I've been putting her off till last because, to be honest, there are a lot of little bits and pieces on here, like all those chains and hooks and all those little bits and bobs. I have half an idea after looking at it where those are going to go, but there's still a lot that I'm just kind of sitting here going, holy shit, this chick likes to be tied up. All right, let's get started. From what I've managed to ascertain looking at painted versions and assembled versions online, um, basically a lot of it's going to get built up on this core torso. So we can do that first. Should be clipping out the torso and right leg. Yeah, it's the right leg. Maybe it's the other left. I don't know. So legs. Font. Now, as always, I'll be using my much abused Games Workshop clippers and some Tamiya ultra thin or extra thin, same difference. Plastic cement. Now, I prefer plastic cement over super glue because it does give a stronger bond and it does help somewhat smooth out seam lines and things like that. And if you're not going to be pulling things apart later, I don't know, I just feel it's definitely the way to go. I'll put that arm out to the side. Right, now this piece, we've gone from the Pinup Savior, which had the only case in this box of attached breasts, pre-attached breasts, and we now have the double detachable breasts. Let's just come straight off. Breast number 1, breast number 2. Literally, like, I don't know. It's like, did you need more pieces on this sprue? Was it really necessary that each individual breast be attached separately? Um, Questions abound. Why? Why detachable breasts? It's a question I ask in every video. Never mind, we will soldier on. Hopefully she doesn't get lopsided tits. So I'm going to start off using the knife, carefully clean up our cut marks and check for mold lines, which we do have a small one along here. So I'm going to quickly just gently scrape it. The sharper your knife, the gentler you're going to have to be because it will carve away plastic. Luckily I have a nice sharp blade on this one. So just gently scrape it along the line. And you can always go over these surfaces with some finishing paper. Good thing there's no dropped counter in offline recordings. Not that I have one on stream actually. Everyone keeps like, they'll go dropped hoping that there's one, but it's like, no, if I had a dropped counter, it would like, the number would be soaring through the roof. Another little line up in there. Is that all? That is all on that one. We'll go to the other leg, and the mold line on her goes vertical like this. So again, I do have my brush here that I should be using instead of blowing into the microphone. I have been away on a bit of a traveling hiatus. Though the idea is to re-record these with better audio in about a week or two's time, but that'll be a gradual process. However, I do want to be able to put these up before then, so you'll have to bear with me. When we complete the series, well, this will be the last part of the series, so we'll be putting this up on YouTube basically as soon as I've fixed up the audio on number 2. Because if you've stuck with me this long, you've realized that that was horrible. The audio on that was shocking. Alright, I think we're about set. Oh, there's a little one here on the greave. Alright, so this goes with that. It's going to be a small gap. That's not too bad. Now we're going to get... Gotta be careful because I don't know, I used to like literally every time I swapped blades on a knife, I'd end up slicing my thumb open. Thankfully, I haven't been as bad lately. I guess I've learnt to be a lot more slower and careful when I use it. Plus, I've done some pretty stupid things with knives, like trying to carve off, like I was trying to carve across, like carve out chunks off of a Terminator sigil once with just a scalpel blade. Not a good idea. Like, I mean, I had the handle and everything on it. It wasn't just the blade, but really something I should have been using like a file or a saw or something, with a lot more surface, so I didn't have to press down as hard. All right, carve that out. How are we for mold lines on the skeleton? We do have a clip mark here on the back where the knife blade is. This is going to be one of those bits that basically you're going to be want to be careful, and you may want to, depending on how closely you've cut to it, just carve it away, like scrape little bits off the top to avoid jumping off of it and cutting yourself or cutting into the pieces around it. Until finally you get it smooth enough you can just scrape the blade on it. Alright, that's looking good. Oh, we got to get the ring as well. I always find rounded objects like rings and stuff to be the most difficult just for prepping, because there's basically you got to be like the chances of just carving a chunk off and being left with an oblong surface. So I'm just going to use this file. It was a GDub file. They're reasonably good finishing files, not workhorse files though. I found as workhorse files go, they just, they'll lose all their grit like instantly, and you'll be left with just metal. Alright, so we're going to carefully clean up. Apologies if you can't see this very well, but this is a very small part that I do not want to slice my thumb open, and I want to clean up. Goddamn detachable breasts. Alright. A little bit more. Alright, now we've got to figure out which side goes with which. Oh. These, I think... Oh. Cue like 15 minutes of me just dropping this piece as I try to dry fit it. Alright, so there is a small lip on the breast pieces which fit to the sides so you can see. I'll get a close-up of it. It's very difficult. If I show it, we hold it side on, you'll be able to see. Where's our focus? We'll zoom it all the way in. You can see there how there's that little lip. that matches to the breast. So in this case, I am holding the left breast. Yes, the left breast. And you can see there's a matching kind of lip on there. So that's how you're going to be able to tell which breast is which breast. Nope. Let's bring it back into focus, shall we? Well, I'm going to glue this breast in and let that set while I play around with the other breast. Oh God, just like my weebishness immediately kicked in. Reminded me of one of the kind of harem-y animes they had with a zombie girl. It's like a side character in the police or something. One of her breasts flops off because they're stitched on because she was, a bits and pieces Frankenstein. Oh, so she wasn't really a zombie. Oh no, she was a zombie. She was supposed to be like a zombie, but she was a bit like a Frankenstein zombie. I don't know. I'm a weeb. I love my anime so much. Alright. You're going to be left with a small gap along the side of this breast, but we'll fill that in when I get to paint it later. So where'd the other one go? Jesus, these things are tiny. Not in scale comparison to the rest of the model, of course. Games Workshop isn't. Oh, Games Workshop Kingdom Death is not skimpy when it comes to busts on its models. Games Workshop could learn from them, in fact, and have more busty models. Because so far, female models are few and far between. Especially decent ones. Like, I'd almost love to see Games Workshop try and do a pin-up model. That'd be hilarious. Alright, we'll put the other one in. Oh. Just like imagine a Kingdom Death style pin-up Space Marine. It's like vaguely horrifying, but amusing. I have no idea. I'm not even gonna try. I'm just gonna. Come on. Don't play. Alright, so it's got a little bit of a. Yep, that fits right. It looks weird because there's chain going along this right side. Left side. Well, right side for me, left side of the model. Wait, that means that was a right breast first. Jeez. Directions are hard, people. Directions are hard. Don't let anyone tell you different. So next up, we're going to be putting her in here. So we'll be leaving all the little chains and stuff till the last that we can kind of get away with because we've got to look at. Just put a bit of glue on her bum. Look at the way the model sits, stands, and kind of make sure that everything lines up. Obviously, we'll be keeping an eye out for areas where the access to is going to be restricted to where we need to attach bits. That's the same for everything. From looking at it, there doesn't look to be like any huge sub-assemblies. Like you could leave an arm off if you wanted to paint that separately. Looks like that's gone in nicely. That's leg number 1. Now leg number 2 seems to just go in, and she looks like they've posed her stepping. So where's our base? So careful not to knock it out of alignment. Yep, so they've posed her stepping, which isn't too bad. So goes like this. Goes behind her head, which means we're actually going to want to leave this off and finish the head first, I think. So we're going to do that. We're going to put these aside. So we should be able to get away with attaching this leg. We'll leave that whole area to dry. So carefully apply some gold there. Gold, glue. I'm on fire tonight. Make sure she stands. Cool. Almost looks like she's ice skating. Don't know why. Alright, to the head. Some very small pieces here. So we have the face, which is right here. As I said, I am going to try and go through in post-production. Might as well clip off the loincloth while we're at it. I was kind of confused as to whether they had anything sculpted to cover her bits. Obviously they have. It looks like, I don't even know if you call that a loincloth. It's like a strip of bone or something that's just hanging down to cover her bits. So we got the top of the head, we got the bottom of the head, and then she has hair. I don't know how that's going to go together though. So the top of the head's fairly easy. We just got to make sure we get this the right way around. These horns are almost as bad as the Forsaker. The resin model, which I recently painted up. Okay, so she's got kind of an area at the back of the head, which seems to... Okay. So that's how that goes. Cool. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to show you how this head goes together. So as you can see, there is a loop. Hair goes like this. Bring it in. The head has a matching set here. Slots together. Like so. Horns, just glue on top. Like so. My apologies for the shadows. Sits on top. The only way I seem to be able to tell front from back with that is that the prongs on the horn on her head, there are a couple that point forward. So that's probably the way you're going to want to point that. So we'll do the hair first, because we can always just, sit those prongs on later when it's fully done. Just going to get glue around the bottom. Again, this is all kind of a preamble. This is just like the appetizer to the suffering that's going to be attaching all those little chains. Alright, so then it looks like that would sit on the head, which is why I've also forgotten to clean the hair or the head, which is a no-no, but I'll do that when it's dry. So that's that. Plain cloth will clean while we wait for that to dry. Again, if you're doing this at home, as I've said, if you assemble a couple at a time, it may be difficult to keep track of all your pieces. But at the same time, you'll be able to do one thing and let that completely dry and move on to the next thing. So I'm just going to clean up the edges of this base while I've got the knife there. Alright, so head, body, loincloth, cloak, we'll leave for the moment. We have another arm, which seems to have chains hanging from the bottom of it. Or there's some of the chains have kind of pegs which match slots. So I'll be going through as we kind of suss out where goes where. I don't think that's going to really matter much. I think from looking at it, a lot of the chains just seem to have a generic kind of rectangle of plastic to go that'll sit in there. All right, gauntlet and arm. And we need, so her, I don't know what these would be called because greaves are legs slash feet, I guess. It's not like a waist. They're like, they cover her thighs. I have to look at my example model, but I'm pretty sure they come around and I've actually thought ahead this time and brought up example models on my monitor so I can quickly check a reference picture as we work through this. I know, an unprecedented level of professionalism. Try not to panic too much. At least she's gonna be like reasonably. It'll be interesting doing the dark skin because I think I'm gonna try and do that dark skin like you have in the artwork. But I've never painted skin like because it's like a not a milk chocolate, like a milk coffee skin. I guess it'd be the easiest way to describe it. That kind of it's a darker skin tone, but it's still like a brighter tone. Um, Now let's see. Okay, so they go with the little ribs pointing to the front, kind of like I first had it, and they seem to just stick on any which way you please. Doesn't seem like it's going to cover the bum. I'll work out how. So they cover where the chain. You just want to cover where the chain starts, I guess. And they've got it. Okay, so they've got it going up almost to her waist, to about there. So the chain sits 1, 2. So it sits up, yeah. It sits roughly in the middle. The chain from the forward area. I'll glue it and show you. This doesn't look like it's going to hurt anything. If I glue it in, it's not going to block access. Alright, so drops the piece. Didn't get glue on the model though, thankfully. This is like the bane of my existence. So naturally I'm doing assembly videos, but the oh my god. So I'm gonna Alright, so it's gonna sit like that? Yeah, like that. So let's bring her in. We'll get the zoom in, the focus in, so it's gonna sit about like that. It's gonna go towards, but it's basically gonna frame her bum, which is, I don't even know, they haven't included a back strip to cover her bum. It looks like she gets a bare bum. So I hope you are good at painting asses. I know I have screwed up the last one I was painting. Thankfully it's gonna get covered by her cloak. But it's gonna be fun times. Skin tone I'm not practiced with, and well, trying to get a perfect butt. Butts. Alright, carefully get this piece to about the same kind of position. Because this has got 2 chains, so it'll be done a little bit differently. I'll bring it in and show you. Then we have the butt, the framed butt. Is it almost like, I'd almost use this in, if it wasn't for the scale difference, I'd use this as a vampire for like Warhammer Fantasy or Age of Fail. God, I hate Age of Sigma. The cloak doesn't look like we're gonna have to put the cloak on before. Ooh, we'll have to check. We will have to check now very carefully. Smooth down the cloak. We want this piece. So you want to let your knife do the work. So if you're having to put a lot of force on the knife to clear that piece, then you need to be cutting smaller pieces off it instead. And don't forget, you're not going to, your knife is not going to go blunt at the same speed for the entire model. So don't be afraid to use different parts of your knife that are going to be used less to smooth areas like the sides of this cloak. So using the base of the knife along here towards the bottom where it's used the least, so it means it's still the sharpest, will help out. Alright, so the other thing you should never do is drop your knife. Also wear shoes when handling scalpel knives in case your knife rolls off the table and lands in your foot. I am of course 100% following this advice and I'm not sitting here barefoot, because I would never do that. I always practice safe hobbying. Like scraping away from your thumb. Don't scrape towards your thumb, it's very dangerous. You'll cut your thumb open. Basically, kids, do what I say, not what I do, and we'll get along fine. You won't hurt yourself. Where was the sprue? This basically had like next to no sprue on it, the antlers piece. I can't even see. Alright, so we're gonna get the top of the head in the center, and we're not gonna put glue all the way to the rim of the head. We're just gonna focus it in the middle, and we'll let it spread out evenly, and we're gonna place the head on with the tines forward. Then we're just gonna make sure that it all kind of lines up. Have I got it back to front? Maybe I have got it back to front. I have got it back to front. Okay, don't listen to me. The tines go to the back. I suppose, because if you were... Just put a little bit more glue on there. I suppose like they grow if you're going to put your head down and charge forward, so it would make much anatomical sense for the tines to go out the front. Although it doesn't seem to sit very well either way. Oh well, I'll put the tines backwards for now. Should be sitting. Alright, we'll zoom in. Apologies if you couldn't see much then, it was very fiddly, but there you go. So that's the completed head and hair, which just sits at the top of the torso. Apologies for the auto glare. It's my pasty white hands. Just doesn't know how to deal with them. If I remove... Oh no, that's worse. Mid recording production values. Never a bad thing. Wow. We've been putting it off. Here they are. All of the little bloody hooks and chains. Ugh. The hell does this all go? Look at the feet first. Okay, so the first off, I've found two of the pieces, and I'm gonna glue them on first. But there are two pieces which are extra. They go on the feet. Where's my white one? I'm gonna do that for the base. Basically, she's gonna have two prongs on her toes, just like the Forsaker model. Oh, cool. So we'll need to match them up. Guess that's one mystery solved. Oh, actually, before I do that, we're going to glue her loincloth in, I believe. If it fits. It fits. So I'm going to put like a line of the glue. It's kind of in a panty line where her crotch would be. Very carefully. I'm even going to sit this down. Oh my god. Screw it. Don't do this. There's extra glue everywhere that I'm going to have to clean up. But for the purposes of the video. You can have a little bit of extra glue around the belly that I'll then... No, we'll let it set. And I'll smooth it down later. It just wasn't sitting, it was really fiddly, and I'm not patient. I'm not a patient man, in case you didn't notice. Alright, so we've got that glued in, like so. Now, if you're enjoying the actual assembly side and you're not so much interested in the painting, fear not. Why is she like... She's like posed with her shoulders rolled as well. That is weird. Are we in the middle of the base? My constant worry now is that it's standing up straight and it's in the middle of the base, because the amount of heckling I've had on my stream for failing to get to that. So that'll sit on top. And when that sets, we have this arm, we have the claw arm, which just kind of sits like that. Ugh. I'm going to carefully clip these out. Some of them. We're going to start with what I've realized are the feet pieces. These are tiny, tiny pieces, and I can't blame you if you can't see them. Just, I'll try and show you where I'm cutting on the sprue, and I'll mark them on the sprue on the guide. In the meantime, I'm going to carefully stick them on the end of my finger and show you. So these two pieces belong on the foot, as far as I can tell. Don't know if they have a particular side. I don't think it's going to matter. The trick here is actually, for me, going to be cleaning them without dropping them 3 million times. Again, you'll want to probably let the glue on the feet fully dry before you put these on, as that will stop you kind of knocking her out of position. I am curious as to how this is going to sit with the head. How close? Okay, so the head does fit fairly closely. The hair, I should say, fits fairly closely to the body, especially if we rotate it so it meets. Okay, that's cool. So this isn't going to get in the road, but you definitely want to leave the head off, and like you want to leave this the weapon off until you've placed the head on, because the weapon will sit like so. Apologies if this is really far away. I should be sitting out further. It's been a couple of weeks of madcap towel painting. So we're out of rhythm. We will get back there. Oh god. So that's how they're gonna go. That is how they're gonna go, so that's gonna be fun. We're gonna use the thin, but we're gonna be liberal with it because the bottom parts, it's gonna sit there. It'll be right. Alright, these look like pretty much identical pieces. There is a slight, okay, so there's a slight, oh no, that'd be the same. They should be basically identical pieces. So you want the hook curving inwards. Fuck you. Bring it in, show you. There you go. So you'll get two prongs on the foot, on the side like that. So there's a small gap there. Again, I'll fill it in. It's the same on the Forsaker. Forsaker, I keep saying, why do I keep thinking the Butcher? I don't know. I kept thinking like when I was talking about it, the Butcher has. Oh wow. Now I'm. Yeah, the Butcher has horns as well. God. So I had this brief mental blank where I was like, hang on, does the Butcher have horns? So I know the Butcher is a monster from the core game if you're completely unfamiliar with the Kingdom Death line and haven't been one of the lucky ones to pick up your board game yet. We're gonna need the tweezers for this. We might need the tweezers for this. Where did I put them is the next question. Or are we gonna have to man mode it with fingers? Oh, there are the tweezers. Come on. Come on. Oh my god. Get in there. Get in there. I mean, you could leave these off, but I just thought the logic was that this way I know that they are level with the base, they are level with the foot and everything, and they're not going to look funny. So, hopefully they don't look funny. Alright. Both toes have been attached. Now it is time for... If I bring the lighting in more, hopefully it won't keep auto. It's going to keep doing it anyway. My apologies. Eventually, with the support of patrons, once this goes on YouTube and we start getting some more interest, I hope to do more production value stuff and provide more of these videos with a bit better production value. So we'll do the right arm, question mark, yes, remembering our directions. So we get our extra thin. Get the arm is going to basically oh, I thought there was a lip. Okay. So I'll show you what I was confused about there for a second. Bringing the zoom in. Bringing the zoom in. Is there's a lip you can see. From the side, when I was from the side when I was meeting up the L-shaped gap that makes up the arm, if you can see it. If you can't, then it means the glue is working and doing its job. Basically, it is an L-join, and I was thinking that I had it out of alignment because there was that lip, but that's actually the bracer that goes around her arm, which probably means there may be some kind of matching piece for the other arm. I don't know, but that might be one of these extra bits that's on here. Have a look in a second. What is that? There's another ring with two little hooks. I have no idea where this... There are so many little pieces on this sprue that I have no idea, even when I look at the instructions, as to where they go to. But then that's why I make these videos. Like, I'd be doing this anyway, but I feel that this way someone else can watch, they can learn, they can see what I did, they can see what I did wrong, and not do what I did. Right, so that's there. We're going to put some of our full strength, full thickness glue. And the head is going to get posed like so. And we're going to make sure it lines up and it sits. I don't want it looking down. Does the normal model look down? Because that's kind of silly. Why would it look down? That's derpy. Why you look derpy? I want you to look up. That'll do. That's better. Alright. Okay, so there's a part on this arm it's missing. And if that goes like that, maybe that's why she's looking down. It's the only way they could pose her to fit this around the back of her head. It does kind of, yeah. So she does look down, and that's so she can fit this stupid big axe behind her head. Which I'm debating whether or not I want to even attach at the moment, whether it'd be better to leave it off. But then I don't know how well this joint is going to get covered is the issue. Thinking from a painter's perspective and not a gamer's perspective, attaching this arm is going to block access somewhat. Don't think it's going to be too bad though. So we're going to do it. I want to show this. Like, up to you. Be aware when you assemble though that could be an issue. I'm going to do it just so you guys can get a better picture of how it's assembled. Looks like there's a chunk of a helmet missing at the back. I wonder if that's actually also a piece. We'll see. Or is that where the... Oh, that'll be... Alright, so that's where the... This is a chunk of a helmet missing at the back. Where the sword is going to rest. So I'm going to align it all up now. So you probably want to do... Yeah. Oh god. What am I doing? I need like 4 hands for this piece. Because the head... The weapon aligns with a chunk out of the back of a helmet. Oh, don't fall off. Okay. Executive decision. Big boy glue. I hope, for your sake, this goes easier for you than it is for me. Done. Screw it. There's a tiny gap, but it's filled with glue, so you're not going to see it. Oh, that was... Getting that all into alignment, now that I've kind of got it sitting here, I'll zoom in and show you what I was talking about. So there's a gap at the back of a helmet. There's like a... It's like a slope, like that, that is kind of carved out of it where the weapon sits and meets up with the helmet, so she's not looking too far forward to fit it. Fiddly as hell. So I'm going to sit that there to dry. The cloak will go up. I guess the cloak is what's going to cover her booty. So that's just going to go in there somewhere without knocking that any further out of alignment. So she's going to get some booty coverage. What's left now to deal with? We have... Ugh. More like hook things. So she has a chain that hangs from her hand. And she also has a thing on the back of, so she's one from like the palm of her hand and one at the back. Oh. Let's have a look. So she has a chain hanging off here already, so she'll get another chain that hangs from the back of her arm, and then she has a chain that hangs from her hand. Might help if I align things back up. My apologies. 10 out of 10 production, professionalism. That'd be like the end goal, right? It'll be like a separate take on each piece, get everything aligned up, get everything done, and then come back. Now I'm looking for little extra bits where these... So we know where that two chains go. We have two chains. Now we got little hooks and doodly bobs to figure out where they go. Although I also play by the thing of if you can't look at the model and immediately tell where something's going to go, chances are no one else is going to notice it either. As bad as that sounds, I mean, if it's for your own piece and that is the case, that you just cannot figure out where a piece goes, well, don't worry about it. Like, if you can't see where it goes straight away, chances are no one else is going to notice it either. I mean, I still can't see where these extra little... Ah, okay. So there's two, like, horns that go around. That's two of those pieces. Where's the other pieces go? That's left with what look like a ring and a partial ring. That's even weirder. So the horn's gonna slide up under her neck. So by horn, while it's still on the clippers, the reflection from the cameras, from the lamps is horrible. Need diffusers. It is these little doodly bobs. Do not drop the doodly bobs. They are tiny and you will have a hard time finding them. At this point though, it should be easy to tell which doodly bobs I'm talking about. since you should only be left with a few pieces on the sprue, if you've been following. Alright. So this one, now you want them to kind of curve around back into her. So there's one with a single prong and one with two prongs. Or do they curve? Yeah, they curve around. Looks like they just stick in under her neck. Oh, don't sit out of alignment. Don't sit out of alignment now. It does look like there's a slightly like flat surface on the side that yeah. There is a flat surface on the side that's gonna go in, which I'll show you. Gonna bring in and show you. So there's a flat side, there's a textured side. Wow, sorry, this is gonna be really. You can see that flat area. So it's gonna go in like that. So this would be the the left, the right, no, the right. This would be the right side of her face. This is for the right horn. That's from the perspective of the model, not you facing the model. So in this case, it's going to go straight ahead. So my left hand looking at this way. I know that's horribly instructive, but just to make it clear, I'll even glue it in and then show you again. If I can do this without everything falling apart. So go, oh, don't hate me, beautiful. I just want to give you horns. God damn it. Where are the tweezers? We need do-to-me bob tweezers. Right, so I'm gonna reglue the do-to-me bob. If a little extra glue is on here, that's fine. You're not gonna see it. And near as I can tell, it does have a little lip on there. I'm getting a white glue for this. It's like the downside of using that extra thin is that while the viscosity is really thin, it does mean it doesn't stick quite as quickly. So in all the pictures I've seen, it doesn't quite obscure that chest bit. I also think I have the head tilted slightly more than they do. So that looks okay. We're gonna get a second do-to-me bob. Do the same thing, put on the tweezers. Some glue on it. Oh, we're going to align it with the other horn. Looks a little shorter, but looks a lot shorter actually. Is that supposed to go up further? Oh, I hate this. Uh, so all this glue is at that kind of like, it's not quite set stage. You can wiggle things around a bit. Alright, that's a little better. I may still want to go back and like tidy things up, but that's how it's looking now. It's kind of, I don't know whether those, like one of those horns is supposed to go on and attach to the head. Don't think they are. You may want to have a look at that yourself. Um, but I've kind of like wedged them in now. You can kind of see if you look up underneath her hair, it doesn't sit quite perfectly, so I may hide that with a little bit of liquid green stuff, just for those pedantic people that check that. I don't think it'll be an issue. Alright, so we definitely don't want to knock those off, because god damn it, that was fun. Said no one ever. Okay, so the long chain, there'll be 2 chains left on the sprue. The long chain that I'm clipping off, that will go off the back of her hand. It has further to go. So again, be very careful when you clean the cut mark off the loop, that you don't carve chunks off the thing. I'm going to move her back so I don't knock her over and just like ruin everything I've done for the last half an hour. Oops. I'm also thinking of getting black nitrile gloves for this. Just as a random, like, it should cut down, like, the black nitriles, the tattooing gloves. So nitrile gloves, because this wouldn't be in a Dodo assembly video without me giving you random trivia. Nitrile gloves are commonly used in hospitals. They don't contain stuff that, like, I think it's because they're hypoallergenic, and they're good for wearing for long periods of time. Um, they're normally bright blue or whatever the standard for that industry is for health and safety. Tattoo parlors, however, use a black variant that just looks better aesthetically. It's up to, its personal preference. I think some tattoo, I think it might, I'm not sure whether it's Australian or not. I don't recall whether my tattoo artist used black or not. So I'm just dry fitting this chain. So it's the short chain that goes up. Oh my god. This is going to be fun. Alright, so it's going to go in here and get kind of pressed in, but it's fucking tight. I might actually snip a little bit off the bottom of this, so it's not such a snug fit, because the glue will do the rest of the work. So clip a little bit off. Up to you again, of course, your model. I'm just showing you, hopefully correctly, where stuff goes. Okay, so I'm going to put this back into tweezers. Alright, so we want that way. There's a little bit of fiddling around because you want the chain to be going in the same direction of her arm to match the swing, like so. Gravity is a thing. I should say centrifugal force is a thing. Gravity is also a thing, as anyone that's fallen off a chair will tell you, but not applicable. Alright. This one's fairly easy and just goes in there. Cool. Nope. Please don't have anything fall off. That panic of, oh, that panic of crap. I've knocked over the model. Something's going to be like out of alignment. That's why look. That's why I tell you again and again. It's getting excess. I accidentally put like a massive glob of glue on. So I'm just going to, before it sets too much, I'm just going to get some of that excess off. Um, there we go. So zoom in on the back where the chains are. So it has, you know, the chains off the weapon will kind of, should about match the angle, and the one at the back you've got a little bit more to flex with. Okay, so which brings the next. We still have two little pieces left on the sprue that I have absolutely no clue where they go. Absolutely no clue. I'm going to look at the model again. They go on her breasts. Oh. Fuck. That's where they go. Well, that's awkward. How the shit? Oh, fuck. Alright, so, at the beginning of this video, I'm going to put a caveat. There are two pieces here that should go on before the arms. These two pieces here. These pieces hold her chain bar up. So they need to go either side of the breasts. Obviously, much easier to put those on when you're not at the very last step of doing the model. Yeah. So I'm gonna clip them off, and we're gonna get them there. We're gonna get them there. We'll have to use our tweezers again, just to sit them in there. It's not the end of the world, but it is gonna be annoying. Such an obvious thing when you think about it. Like, I just kind of assumed that the chains would get hidden, like where the chains left. So one side has a half circle and the other side has a full circle. The side with the half circle is slightly longer. So I hate cleaning up small pieces like this. Alright, let's have a look at our reference picture. Other reference pictures, not much help. None of them like zoom in, they're all like front. There's like one side picture which kind of shows you, but otherwise you kind of gotta get a guess that longest side. Yeah. I don't even know if these will fit now. Oh, no, no. Okay, so they go with the horns curving up and around the breast with, oh, they're like ribs. Okay, so the one with the full circle, which is this one, will go on the ground because I dropped it. We'll go down. There's a cup up under the breast, so it goes where the chains would meet. And cup up and around. Which is actually kind of like, just looking at it, doesn't seem like it's going to sit. Just going to try and drop it on there. So I can, because it should sit smooth to, it should sit smooth to the surface of the model. So I just want to try and dry fit the positioning of it by kind of like letting gravity do its work. Alright, so it's going to sit like this. So how are we going to do this? We're going to put a little dot of glue where it should go. Right there. Under the... Did I fix the zoom? If I didn't, I'm sorry. Because this is stuff you're going to want to see. I'm going to get the full circle. The tweezers. Oh, God damn you. Why are you going to be like this? Oh, curse you, sudden but inevitable physics. It's more important that it meets up with the chains than at the front. At least as far as I can tell. So it's like an open rib cage. We can do the same thing on the other side. And it's going to be equally as fiddly. Oh, don't break the chain. Actually, let me look at this circle. I think it might go it goes further up in the armpit. I'm going to use the thick glue with the thin brush. I feel like I should take up model boat building, like bottle ship building, just to get there. We go. There we go. There we go. We got it. We got it. We got it. We got it. We got there, people. So you can do this step last, and you'll still be fine. Just have tweezers. It would be slightly easier without that arm there. Actually, not really. Yeah, it would be. Would be. So now we just have to repeat this process on the other side. Holy crap. It has taken me over an hour to do this one miniature. Alright, so we're going to do the same again. A little double glue where it needs to be. We're going to find the Dodo Me Bob. Going to get it around the right way so that I can pick it up with my tweezers. just gonna... Oh! Where'd it go? Might get a little bit there. Oh. Oh! Where did that go? Oh, sweet Jesus. This is all kinds of not fun. Alright. It's there. It's done. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'll bring the camera down so you can see. Fully assembled. Pinup Forsaker. It has as much pain as I thought it would be. Thank you for watching. Check out the description for links to Patreon, Facebook, Twitch, all of the social things. If you want to see more, then do click subscribe. Thank you for bearing with me. I hope you have a much easier time with yours than I did mine, and I will see you next time.